We had people coming into our office saying, hey, I'm about to do, can you please help me? And seeing that over and over and over, I realized,
Welcome everyone, we're here live at ChannelCon 2025. We're the early birds getting the worm because everyone else is still sleeping after the huge country music party last night. I'm here with Reese Tuttle from AP2T Labs. Reese, welcome back to the show, returning friend of the pod because we interviewed you for your founder story back in February?
yes.
February in Florida, also sweltering heat. So, we're going for a founder brand story, build in public. What has been the hustle like in the last 6 months from February to now?
Okay, so the last 6 months have been huge growth for me personally and professionally. When you're doing your first startup, you learn a lot of things and that you didn't even realize could have been issues or things that you didn't even realize you need to know. And so when we were going and pushing our product out, we got feedback from a lot of people, and there's things that were like, before we move into early adopter, we want to make sure that we're keeping what we're doing as simple as possible, as effective as possible, and still addressing the root problem of what we see. And so we wanted to make sure that before we move into early adopter and deliver something, we want to make sure that it is as simple as possible. Like with other platforms, it is all campaign based, and when it comes to us, we try to automate it all. We automate everything, and that comes with emails and text messages and voice calls, and a lot of that has come over just the past 6 months. And that's from not rushing into things, and that's a lot of what I've learned is just not rushing into it. It'll happen when it happens, and it's gonna be awesome when it does, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with the big P word, which I love talking about, the problem. The better we know the problem, the better we can solve it. So we're talking managed service providers, cyber awareness training for their end clients, that's the theme. But what's the problem that these MSPs have within this theme?
So I typically see two major problems, sometimes three, it really depends. But when it comes directly to the MSPs, the two biggest things is, number one, the complexity of awareness providers. It's complex and it's delivering less. So typically, awareness providers are only delivering phishing emails, and at best they'll do it once a month, maybe twice a month. And you have to do it as a campaign based. You have to select who you're sending it to, when you're sending it to them, what are you sending to them. And that is a lot. It's high labor, and not many people want to have to do that. And if you think about it, it's not very effective because that person is still selecting who's going to be getting those phishing emails, so they're not going to get phished themselves. So we saw this as a big issue in just the pure complexity of platforms, and they don't have to be that complex. Number two is the lack of offering and variety when it comes to scams and simulations. It's all phishing, phishing, phishing. Sometimes you get smishing, which is text messages, but it's very rare, and typically it's a high upcharge. But our biggest goal is to simulate exactly what scammers are doing and what they're going to be doing next. And that isn't just phishing emails. And that's not even just like internal company email either. That is your personal emails, that's text messages, that's scam calls, that's even postal mail, USB drops. And so what we spent the last 6 months is making sure that we're able to deliver those services to MSPs at a very cost-effective rate and a high rate. We're doing these daily. So that's the biggest problem that I've seen, and I think we're addressing it quite well.
Okay, let's break this down by the value equation. If you haven't heard of it before, the way that I've been taught to think about value that someone wants, the value equation equals outcome, the outcome that they want, times, we're doing some bed maths here, outcome times confidence level that you can deliver divided by the delay from paying to outcome multiplied by the effort it takes to achieve the outcome. Okay, so outcome times confidence divided by delay and effort. Let's go through each one of these components. What is the exact outcome that the MSPs need to solve their problem?
What they need is a comprehensive security awareness training platform that can run simulations daily. The whole goal, and this is what MSPs I think should be looking for, and this is what what your outcome should be, is that your clients, you see a very, very high initial fail rate when it comes to these simulations. People should be falling for these scams. The best way to learn is through failure. And to know that they're learning is when you see a very, very high initial fail rate come down. And that's what I think the biggest outcome should be.
Okay, because the goal here is to educate the end client.
Of course.
So what they're trying to do is deliver education to the end client. That's the outcome.
Yes.
The outcome is not necessarily to send emails. That's a means to an end. The outcome is to educate each employee of the end client.
Yes.
Okay. And the confidence really comes down to, do they think that you can deliver? So we'll come back to that. I picked out some delay and effort components in your previous description. So walk me through how MSPs are typically solving this, and then describe that in the delay and effort components. Like, how long does it usually take? How much does it usually cost? How much effort does it usually take them to deliver the education, which is the outcome?
So normally when it comes to doing phishing emails, and I'm going to use phishing emails mainly as my prime example because that's mainly what service providers offer, there's typically a person that is dedicated to running campaigns. That can be a full-time job lots of the time. Additionally, most of the time, you only see phishing emails getting sent out once a month, maybe twice. And I always say, how many scam emails, real scam emails, do you typically see your clients and even yourself getting daily? And,
multiple.
And if that's multiple, how come your security awareness training isn't doing the same? You have to duplicate exactly what the reality is. And so that's mainly what I'm seeing. And also, because a lot of companies don't run their own email servers and things of that sort, the cost of email is also really, really high. And so prices initially have to go up. Whereas with us, we do everything in-house. We've built everything from the ground up.
So this is a delay and effort type thing. Mm-hmm. They may have tried to solve this problem. They may have tried to achieve the outcome, which is delivering the education,
of course,
but there's too much effort involved, and so they stop at doing once per month.
Yes.
Which is a little bit of compromising on the outcome, because you're not delivering as much education as you say that they need to. But if you said that to them, they would say, I know, but it's too hard to do daily. And so this is really where you're lasering in, from what I'm hearing, is the delay and effort component. You're trying to make that as zero as possible. If we make it zero, value is infinite.
Exactly.
So this is really what you're focusing on, is from what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, this is mainly what we're focusing on. The daily attacks, I think, is key. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, daily's a lot, but we're duplicating exactly what's going on. I know it's a lot. And our goal is to try and get that down, the actual scams. And so, yeah, that's a lot of what it is.
What are the typical case studies that you've heard of MSPs that have tried to solve this before but have failed to achieve whatever outcome they were looking for? How have they failed to solve this before?
So I actually heard a statistic yesterday from another vendor. And I had heard this earlier, and I don't have it wrote down, but so I don't have the reference. But I heard the statistic that a person before getting phishing training and a person after getting phishing training, there's typically only a 2% difference in results. Whereas when it comes to actual simulations, it was like a bigger percentage. I know I don't have the resource. I'd love to find that.
So you're saying that the training, which would just be like watching a video that says think before you click, versus getting a simulated phishing email and then going through that experience in a blind test.
Yeah.
The blind test simulation is more effective at achieving the outcome, which is educating the client.
Exactly. So let me do a very quick high overview of how we do it. Essentially, again, phishing email is what I'm going to use as our example. We send out a phishing email. It is completely randomized. Not everybody in your company is going to get the same phishing email. And we're working to make every single phishing email targeted to each individual. So you get a specifically curated phishing email sent to you directly. You happen to click on the phishing email. A link in there, something of that sort. At our lowest level, you will then be hit with something we called an edu moment. This is pretty much where it gives you, think of tooltips. When you're new to a website, it walks you through the different steps of the website. We do the same thing with the phishing email. We walk you through step by step what to look for, what you could have done differently. You click next, and then you get a 3-minute training video about that exact thing. And then you take a 10-question quiz, you get 7, you pass, you're good. If you fail, you gotta wait a day, and then you can do it again.
Okay, so this is all ways to achieve the outcome, which is educating the client.
Yes.
I always love talking about delay and effort because I think it's overlooked. How do you make this 0 effort for the MSP?
So right now, we are actually pretty close to where we want to be at. Obviously, brand new. There's so much stuff we still want to iron out and add in eventually. But right now, after an MSP gets onboarded, all they have to do is import their client list, whoever wants to use it, onboard their client. They can import their end user list. That's first name, last name, email. And then they go in. There we have a 1 to 9 scale, 1 being the lowest, 9 being the highest. You select which level attack you want. You click on, and you're done. That's it. Everything else is automated.
Okay. How do we get the client list automatically? Is there a way? That's going to be in like their PSA or something.
Yes.
Can you grab that with a PSA integration? Because that would even be lower effort.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we've been working on is integrating with PSAs and things of that sort in order to make importing a client list way easier.
Right. Fast is always better than free. If you can make it charge the credit card outcome, people will love that.
Of course.
Some people will pay a high price for that because their time is very valuable. Mm-hmm. Like the technicians are charging $200 an hour, so if you save them an hour, that's almost a $200 savings.
Exactly.
You can charge $200 more for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about some build in public type stuff.
Okay.
What has the early adopter, early beta life been like for you? I want to hear the founder story. Don't tell much about like the dev stuff, but I know the roller coaster of like trying to get your baby out there, warts and all. What has that been like for you?
So it has been quite a roller coaster. And in all transparency, I've had my highs, I've had my lows, and then I've had those moments where I'm kind of like, what do I do here? Because again, I'm 20 years old. I haven't really done something like this before. And I've surrounded myself with people on my team that know what they're talking about. So a lot of this has really just been learning through progress and through the journey of everything. And a lot of it is learning that we're not going to be perfect. Perfection is frequently a killer. However, I want to deliver a high quality product and I want to deliver an experience that is fully mission driven. And so learning to also be patient, that we're putting in the time, we're putting in the effort, and that will be shown in return with the amount of effort that we put into this when we do launch it. Mm-hmm. And so patience really has been key in learning what to be patient on and what to not be patient on has been really, really crucial. There's some things that I see at first, I was like, that could be really important for us to launch. And then I have other people on my team that have been through this, they've experienced this, and they're like, this would be very important. This is what MSPs love. This is what they like. And I'm like, yeah, actually I do see that. And I do understand how that could be important. And so putting this over here and putting this as step 1, that's the kind of patience that I've had to learn. But also it's been really great because it makes me feel even more confident in my team and what we're delivering. And I want to be able to know that when we go into our early adopter, we're giving something that MSPs can be proud of and excited about. We are very mission driven. If we can give this away for free, I gladly would. And so, because the whole goal is to just have less people get scammed and cut off that funding source to scammers. That is the biggest mission. It's to make the world a safer place. And so I want to be excited, and I want other people to be excited about that as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of what's been going on.
Okay. I have learned through many years of the grind that some fires gotta burn. Mm-hmm. You gotta just let some things go. And that's what when I hear you say patience, that's what I think about, because this happens all the time. Like There's fires all the time. There's fires all the time. Someone makes a comment, someone posts feedback in your little feedback thing.
Yeah.
You gotta just let some fires burn.
Exactly.
Because if they don't help you improve the outcome, improve the confidence, or make it easier or faster, they just gotta burn. This is why I like thinking about the value equation all the time, because you were talking about some people giving you feedback about the UI needs to be prettier. If prettiness doesn't contribute to outcome, confidence, delay, and effort, just let it burn.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I do fully agree. I think the best way for us to grow is by the feedback that we'll get once we're after early adopter. The feedback from MSPs and the end users is going to be crucial to our growth and our progress as not just a product, but as a company. And so I am really, really excited to get out there and do things of that sort and not letting perfection be the enemy. And that's, I fully agree. That's kind of where I've been as well, learning what is important to take time on and what would be better to fix after we're out there and after we get more feedback. So,
how many times per week are you front lines talking to the managed service provider?
I normally have Mark Kroll doing that. And Mark Kroll has been doing that a lot, but I'm normally in on every single meeting. And actually I do talk, we have a lot of MSPs come into our office and get to show them around.
That's a rarity. That's a hidden advantage.
Yeah, and it's been really fun. We actually just got an office back in May. Which has been huge for me. It's like 3,500 square foot. It fits us all really well. I spend more time there.
Huge. How many employees do you have in the office?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 all the time, and typically 6 to 8 daily. Okay. And it's such a lively environment to work in. I love having MSPs come in. I love having possible partners come in and just see what we do, see the internal workings, see our office, see all of our fun, nerdy gadget stuff. And I love building that relationship with MSPs and people, because like our brand is our personality, and you can see that when you come into our office and just talk to us, and I love it. It makes me feel really happy.
Right. Don't let that slide. Your job as the founder is to talk to the users. Your first job is to never run out of money. Your second job is to be the one that knows the problem the best. You have to live the problem. You have to be able to answer what is the problem like a managed service provider would. So don't let that slide. Always be the one talking to MSPs. Always.
Of course. And so when it comes to less MSP related and more of our overall mission outside of, this is just like a worldwide thing. The problem that I saw, and this is actually why I started it, with my dad's background, we had a lot of people coming to us saying, hey, I've been scammed, I'm now getting blackmailed. I'm now like having to deal with this. I'm on the verge of like suicide and stuff like that. And seeing that, as it was almost a monthly thing, we had people coming into our office saying, hey, I'm about to do, can you please help me? And seeing that over and over and over, I realized that was the big problem, is all the scamming. The scamming, if the services that were out there were working, scamming would go down at an exponential rate, in my opinion. And what I wanted to do was create something that could, scamming's always gonna happen, but that could at least educate people, almost as like a class would, how to not fall for scams. We send $50 here, $100 there, $100,000 there, or we pay out a ransom. And it goes to some random scam group across the world or even in the US. And then that money gets pumped back into doing more scamming and then other illegal things like trafficking and stuff like that. And knowing that my dollars, I've been scammed once, knowing that my dollars is the kind of stuff that's being put back into those groups really irked me, and I knew it would irk others. And that is the overall problem as to why we started what we started. And MSPs are the first people that we really wanted to talk to and target with this, not just because that is what I knew the most, but also because the community is fantastic and growth here and the relationships here and everything is extravagantly better than anything else I've ever seen. So
tell your scam story.
My scam story.
Yes.
Okay. So this was in sophomore year of high school. And in sophomore year of high school, I was very like I want these shoes and I want this purse and I'm excited about this trend and oh my gosh, look at her hair. And that's how I was in sophomore year. And I'm on Instagram going through my reels and I see this pop up for, hey, I'm a online creator, I do a shop, blah, blah, blah. And I go on there and I see it was like some shoes and a hoodie that I really liked. And I DM'd her and I was like, hey, I love this. She was like, hey girly. She literally said, hey girly. That's why I thought it was real. She said, hey girly, like I would love to set this up with you, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm so excited you love my products. What's the best way to do payment? And it was through like PayPal or something like that. And I told my dad, and my dad was like, Reese, this looks a little weird. I'm like, no, look, she said girly, it's okay. She put little heart signs and smiley emojis, she's real. And he's like, okay, to test it out, when you guys are setting up payment, why don't you just send her a buck, see if it works. If it works, go right ahead. And yeah, I got scammed out of 50 bucks. But that's the only time I've ever been scammed. She ended up blocking me afterward and the account got shut down and all this stuff. But it was the one time I got scammed and I felt really, really dumb because my dad, Jesse, knew it was gonna happen, but he knew it would be a great learning experience, so he let me suffer 50 bucks loss, and I'm happy he did. Kind of.
Did you tell anyone other than your dad about it?
Yeah, it's a funny little story. I tell my friends and a lot of people in my family know about it. And I think it's really funny other than the fact that 50 bucks got sent to some random person and I don't know what happened to it. But other than that, it was a great learning experience and made me realize how deceptive they can be, even to a 14, 15-year-old girl trying to buy some shoes and a hoodie on Instagram.
Usually when people get scammed, they keep it to themselves because they're ashamed. What about this experience made you feel almost like you embraced it as a fun story as opposed to just keeping it silent out of shame?
I think a lot of it is the fact that understanding that it happens to almost everybody. Like, and if it doesn't happen to you, you have to admit it probably almost has, or you've encountered a scam or something of that sort, or you know somebody who has. And I think one of the biggest issues when it comes to getting scammed is the shame that comes with it, because that's where a lot of like the suicide and all that comes in. And also a lot of scammers, now obviously thank the Lord that I had a more on the down low scammer that wasn't as crazy as some of these other ones can be. But you have scammers saying like, if you say this, if you do this, if you blah, 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 I'm gonna tell your wife, I'm gonna tell your kids, I'm gonna tell blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of shame that comes with that. And I think that's where it gets really, really hard, because it's like, if I say something, if I talk about it, I'm gonna be screwed. If I don't talk about it, I'm gonna be screwed. And that's why we're trying to prevent it from happening in the first place. But if you have been scammed and you made it through it, don't be afraid to talk about it. And if you just got scammed and just like, it's okay to talk about it. That's what I gotta say. It's okay to talk about it. And if you're a company and there's somebody in your company that's been scammed, it happens. Understand that it happened, see where it went wrong, and see where you can improve. That's all you can do. That's really all you can do, and pay the repercussions, because somebody did mess up, but still, that's just what you can do. That's all you can do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's some practical, social, and emotional, the trifecta of communication. Look for someone to talk to about it, because the sooner you break the ice and talk about it, the more you dispel the shame. That's the emotional. And the practical stuff is that it happens to everyone. It happens to everyone. So it's not like this is some baggage that you have to carry silently. It's happening to everyone. It's like stubbing your toe. It happens to everyone. Yes, it hurts, but if you get it out and move on, it's far more effective recovery than keeping it to yourself and likely continuing to be re-victimized.
Exactly. The best way to get through a scam is literally to go through it. And then figure out how to not have to go through it again. That's the best thing I could say. It's really hard once you're already in that situation. And there's been situations where we've had people come to us say like, they're gonna tell my wife, they're gonna tell my kids, and we're like, you should probably tell them before they do. Like, breaking that ice, getting through it, it's gonna suck, it's gonna be hard, but having those conversations, talking about it, getting through it, that's what you need to do. It happens to a lot of people, and it happens to most of us on a low or high scale. But yeah, completely.
Beautiful. Well, this has been Reese Tuttle. Where can they find more about you and more about AP2T?
Yeah, so you can find more about me on my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn's Reese Best. You can find our website, which is www.ap2tlabs.com. So go ahead and look at that and keep an eye on us. I'm looking at opening up a Discord and things of that sort for people that are a little bit more nerdy. And yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of fun stuff in the future. And if you're interested, keep an eye on us. We're gonna be hosting a lot of things and expanding, and I'm excited. And I hope everybody else is excited too.
Beautiful, making waves. That's been Reese Tuttle from AP2T Labs, telling her founder brand story here at ChannelCon 2025. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Enjoyed this episode? Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe.